Have you ever felt like life has pushed you so deep into darkness that you couldn't see a way out? Like every direction was blocked, every hope was slipping, and every prayer seemed unanswered? If yes, then today's story will speak directly to your heart. Because sometimes the biggest miracles happen in the darkest places. Welcome to Story of Becoming, and this is the story of a miner whose faith changed everything. The story begins in a remote mountain town where coal mines were the heartbeat of survival. Men went in before sunrise and returned long after sunset, covered in dust, tired, and worn out. Among them was a quiet, humble miner named Samuel. He wasn't the strongest, he wasn't the fastest, he didn't talk much. But he carried something inside him that made him different from all the others, a deep faith in God, a faith that guided him through every joy and every hardship. Every morning, before entering the mine, Samuel would stop for a moment at the entrance and whisper a prayer. Not for riches, not for luck, not for an easier life, but a simple prayer. Lord, keep us safe. Lead us through the darkness. The other miners teased him sometimes. Sam, your prayers won't move rocks, they joked. But Samuel only smiled. Maybe not, he would say, but they move the one who can. One bitter winter morning, the mountains were covered in snow, and the winds howled like wild spirits. The miners gathered at the entrance, stamping their feet, rubbing their hands to stay warm. Samuel arrived with his usual calm smile. "Cold day," one miner muttered. Samuel nodded. "Even on the coldest days, God is warm," he said softly. The others laughed lightly and walked into the tunnel. The deeper they went, the darker it became. Lamps flickered. The air grew thick. The sound of pickaxes broke the silence. Hours passed. The men worked, unaware that the mountain above them was shifting, trembling, preparing to fall. Then it happened. A deafening crack, a roar like thunder. The ground shook violently. Rocks rained down from above. Dust exploded into the air. The tunnel collapsed behind them, cutting off their only way out. Everything went black. Their lamps shattered. Silence followed, broken only by the sound of coughing and frightened whispers. "We're trapped!" one miner choked out. "We're going to die here!" Another shouted, "No one will find us in time!" Panic spread like wildfire. Men cried, shouted, hit the walls with their fists. Their fear made the air even harder to breathe. But Samuel stayed still. Instead of shouting, he knelt on the cold ground. His voice was soft, but in the suffocating darkness, every word felt like a light. "God, you are here. Give us strength. Guide us out of this darkness." The others stopped and listened. In the silence that followed, something changed, just a little. Their breathing steadied. Their hearts slowed. Samuel's faith didn't break the rocks, but it broke their fear. Hours passed. It became harder to breathe. The cold grew sharper. The tunnel felt smaller with every minute. Someone whispered, "Samuel, what do we do now?" Samuel felt around until he found a small metal tool, half of a broken handle. And then he did something simple, something small, something almost foolish. He tapped it against a rock 3 times. The sound echoed weakly. A few miners murmured, "What good is that going to do?" Samuel said, "Sound travels farther than we can walk. If someone is searching, they will hear us." Faith doesn't always need a miracle. Sometimes it needs a rhythm. He tapped again. 3 times, slow and steady. Minutes passed. Then an hour. The miners drifted between hope and despair. Samuel kept tapping. It became a heartbeat in the darkness, a sign they were still alive. a message that their spirits were not broken.
Then, in the distance, faint, almost impossible to hear, someone tapped back.
Tap, tap, tap.
The miners froze. "Did you hear that?" "Samuel, do it again." He tapped, and the sound returned, stronger, clearer.
The rescue team had heard them.
Above ground, the collapse had triggered alarms. Workers rushed to dig through the rubble, but didn't know where the men were or how deep they were buried. It was Samuel's tapping, his tiny act of faith, that guided them.
Hours turned into a long, exhausting battle between rescuers and the mountain. Rocks were shoveled. Dust burned their lungs. But the tapping guided them like a beacon. Down in the darkness, hope grew. The miners prayed with Samuel. They whispered encouragement. They held each other up. One said, "Sam, how are you so calm?" He answered, "Because when there is nothing left, faith becomes everything."
Then finally, after what felt like a lifetime, a crack of light broke through the collapsed wall. Fresh air rushed in. Hands reached through the opening. Voices shouted, "We found them! They're alive!" The miners were pulled out one by one. Their faces were covered in dust, their clothes torn, but their hearts were full. Samuel came out last, not because he was weak, but because he insisted everyone else be rescued before him. As he stepped into the light, reporters and townspeople rushed toward him. One reporter asked, "How did you keep everyone calm? How did you not give up?" Samuel smiled, a tired, gentle smile, and said something that would be remembered for years. "We were not alone. God was with us in the dark. And when you believe that, fear loses its power." His story spread far beyond the little mountain town. People around the world heard about the miner whose faith saved lives. Some said it was a miracle. Others said it was courage. Samuel said it was simple. Faith is not about escaping darkness. It is about trusting that light is coming. From that day forward, Samuel returned to the mine, but he was no longer just another worker. He was a symbol of strength, a reminder that faith isn't something you carry only in good times. It's something that carries you through the worst times. His story teaches us something powerful. Darkness will come. Life will collapse. Fear will whisper that you are trapped, alone, forgotten. But faith is the quiet tap in the darkness that says, "I am still here. I am not giving up." And when you hold on to that, even mountains can move. Thank you for watching this story on Story of Becoming. If Samuel's journey touched your heart, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. Someone out there might need this message today. And remember, no matter how dark life gets, your next chapter can still be a story of light, hope, and becoming who you were meant to be.